priests and soothsayers, sacrifices, dedication to family idols, performing of rituals, etc. The firstborn in many families have built their lives on the foundation of evil actions, unknown to them. What their parents have done is capable of placing them inside evil cages. When a family is under a curse, the first child will come into the world with extra evil lash upon his head. As the first one to go through the open gate, he is very likely to gather all kinds of evil cobwebs on his head. This is why we often discover that the first one in a family generally has more problems than other children in the family. He is used as the sacrificial lamb. By the time the second, the third and the fourth are born, the evil family luggage would have been borne by the first child on their behalf, committing immorality with prostitutes. This is another foundational problem. If a man commits immorality with a prostitute, he has opted for the greatest bondage that can be imagined. The moment the man commits sin with a prostitute, demons from the last 7 men who had sex with the prostitute automatically gain entrance into his life. Such a man will not be short of what can be described as multiple bondage. Also, all the spirit husbands of the prostitute would begin to harass him because he is sleeping with their wife. Sexual immorality. Sexual immorality is a serious foundational problem. The moment you have sex with someone you are not married to, you have invited problem into your life. Bachelors and spinsters who commit immorality are digging their own graves. A Christian sister who commits immorality with a man who is loose sexually invites problems into her own life. Such a Christian sister can sing like a nightingale. She is simply not born again. If a Christian sister decides to give her body to a so-called Christian brother, she is building her marriage on a weak platform. If she continues with such a relationship, she would soon discover that the man messes up with other ladies the way he messes up with her. If a lady sleeps with a loose man, demons from the last 7 women whom he slept with will enter into her. That is exactly how many people enter into bondage. Rites of protection. Many people enter bondage as a result of rites of protection performed for their well-being and security by their parents. Perhaps your parents had a hard time bearing children and decided to consult some local fetish priests, fringe prophets, occult practitioners, diviners and people who lay claim to the ability to keep children who are fond of dying each time they are born. If your parents went to consult voodoo priests who specialize in taming a baku or opange, children who have supposedly gone through various cycles of existence, they have given out your hand in marriage to spiritual powers. If a spirit accepts the responsibility of protecting you or preventing you from being harmed by hostile powers, that superior spirit will likely contract a marriage with you. That may be your own way of paying an evil fee. Cultural dances. A lot of people have entered into demonic marriages through participation in cultural dances. Perhaps you got involved with cultural dances when you were very young. You may have been married to some gods or goddesses. In some African communities, young ladies are almost naked when they perform traditional dances. Some people even go ahead to declare that they are getting married to demonic deities. Sexual perversion. Sexual perversion constitutes a very strong entry point for wicked spirit husbands and wives. Any sexual relationship that violates the word of God leads to an evil spiritual marriage. Fornication, adultery, incest, masturbation, lesbianism, homosexuality, bestiality, pornography and prostitution are avenues for getting into marriage with spirit husbands and wives. This generation has seen the worst sexual perversion. If you read the daily paper's increasing number of bizarre incidents of sexual perversion will shock you. Some African ladies have become so demonic that they travel to faraway Europe where they allow dogs and other animals sleep with them for a fee. Those who are involved in such horrific abominations will obviously get married to terrible wicked spirit husbands. Ladies who give away their womanhood to demonic dogs would receive marriage invitations from multiple wicked spirits. If a man eventually sleeps 18 with such ladies, he will be in trouble. The spirits that came into such a woman through sexual perversion, bestiality, will invade the life of the man. Sexual perversion includes sexual flashbacks, flirting, seduction, betting, kissing, inordinate affection, oral sex and looking lustfully at women. These practices open the door for spirit husbands and wives to come in, indecent dressing, Those who put on any dress that violates the principles of Christian dressing are responsible for inviting spirit husbands or wives. Demonic spirits introduce majority of the styles that are prevalent today. If you copy such styles, you will bag a spirit husband or wife. Why should a so-called Christian lady or indeed any lady put on a gown that makes her look like a mermaid or a fish? If a lady dresses seductively, it is an indication of the fact that she is looking for a wicked spirit husband. Dresses that make a lady to wriggle her body like a snake are part of invitation to evil spiritual marriage. Ladies who style their hair or put artificial attachments to it to make them look like the queen of the coast, will get attached to a spirit husband faster than they can ever imagine. Do you know that some of the women's adornments can attract human beings and spirits? If you are a sister and you have vowed never to give up your trousers, you have simply made up your mind to offer yourself in marriage to demonic husbands. Strategy. Let us at this point examine how the devil has succeeded in perverting sex. Using it as a weapon of spiritual slavery, sex is ordained by God for living things like human beings and animals. What comes to your mind when you know that spirits are trying to get into you through that realm? Why should spirit being veer into sex? Why are evil spirits bent on having carnal knowledge of men arid women? Can they go into such an act without having any purpose at the back of their minds? 19. Let us examine the scriptures. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Ephesians 5 verse 31-32. The revelation in the you have just read is that sexual intimacy is a mystery. It defies human logic. It is a spiritual action. When two people come together sexually, both become one flesh. It can either be positive or negative. When you have sex with a particular person, you become one flesh. Spiritually speaking, this unity can either be a blessing or a curse. If you sleep with your wife, you become one with her in a positive sense. But if you sleep with anybody besides your wife, you become one with such a fellow in a terribly negative sense. This fact is corroborated by another passage. Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ, and make them the members of an harlot? God forbid. What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. What? Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body, and in your spirit, which are God's. I Corinthians 6:15-20. Paul, the Apostle, a man divinely endowed with insight into spiritual mysteries, gives us an eye-opener into the mysteries of sex. The above passage suggests that Paul wondered why Christians in his days knowledge concerning the spiritual realities behind sex. Twice he queried, "What? Know ye not?" In 6 short verses, he expected them to know that sex goes beyond physical enjoyment. Sex is a covenant. It is a deeply spiritual act capable of enslaving forever those who blindly go into it illegally. I am deeply saddened by the fact that many people are completely ignorant of the fact that there is a spiritual mystery behind sex. A single art of sex is capable of joining your body, your soul and your spirit with that of another, regardless of who the person is. Modern-day believers may be ignorant of this fact, but Satan and his demons are not. They are sufficiently aware of what takes place during sexual intercourse. That is why they have continuously used it as an evil weapon of dragging careless men or women into deep bondage. Sex is so powerful that it unites the spirit and soul. The power of sex is so awesome that the devil has chosen it as his chief instrument. The only other thing that has this kind of power is the blood covenant. This explains why men often find it difficult to break away from certain relationships. How can you break away from a relationship when you are involved in something that is spiritual in nature? Even if you take physical actions, the powers behind the mystery of sex will not release you. Sleeping with many partners will end up fragmenting your soul. I do not make this statement to frighten you, Many lives are fragmented because they have shared their bodies, souls and spirits with multiple sex partners. Such people will never be able to hold themselves except they go through deliverance. A lot of people have sold their virtues and prosperity through and with spirit husbands or wives, just as marriage is a covenant that binds two people. Sex is also capable of binding two partners. Anyone who wants to continue committing immorality should be ready to pay the price of becoming fragmented. Therefore, when an evil spirit decides to lead people into bondage, it attacks such victims by abusing them sexually. The moment a spirit wife or husband succeeds in having sex with you in your dream, you are automatically joined with the wicked spirit. Your life will become fragmented. The better part of your life, virtue, good and badness acts, will be kept in a demonic bank. You will not be able to make progress physically, since your virtues have been stolen and deposited under an evil altar. You will put up a lot of actions without achieving any result. That is not the only price to pay. You may even experience untimely death. Before that happens, you would have contracted a spiritual marriage with a spirit. You will suffer the consequences of evil marriage without being able to trace it to sex dreams. Wicked spirit husbands and wives have one goal: to pollute the life of the victim. Demonic spouses operate like mosquitoes. They spread evil viruses. That is why we call them spiritual rapists. They attack their victims when they know that resistance or refusal is possible. They normally carry out their survey or research in an intelligent manner. The question which normally comes up in their minds is how they can make the fellow a candidate of spiritual bondage, or how they can pollute the fellow's life. Of course, the answer is clear: introduction of spiritual sex. Here lies 90% of the problems of marriage which spinsters, bachelors and married people have. The Bible states that the spirit of man is the candle of the Lord. Your light cannot burn bright except there is a link between your spirit and the Spirit of God. The devil knows that your spirit is very important. That is why he has released myriads of candle polluters into the world. These spirits have continued to obey their master, the devil. They are ready to pollute as many lives as possible. That is why you must command these wicked spirits to release the candle of your life. If you allow them to pollute your candle, the totality of your life will be polluted. The existence of spirit wives and spirit husbands is neither a fantasy nor a fairy real. It is as real as the air you breathe. Spirit wives and husbands hate the institution of marriage with perfect hatred. They can be classified into a number of categories. Physical spiritual spouses. Some wicked spiritual spouses operate physically. Some of their victims can actually see them. I have come across victims who suffer demonic sexual harassment while they are wide awake. They become sexually excited when there is no living soul around them. The enemy is using that wicked device to destroy many lives. A lot of people have not been able to get married because of such abnormal experience. Wicked spiritual spouses whose victims are either conscious or unconscious. Victims of demonic sexual harassment can also be divided into two categories. Some are conscious while others are unconscious. However, I have discovered that majority who are visited by spirit husbands and wives are unconscious of what is happening to them. To be precise, more than 90% are unconscious victims of this sexual exploitation and abuse. Evil spirits are bent on keeping their victims in a dungeon of ignorance. They do not want their victims to come to the knowledge of the fact that they are attacking them. Spiritual prostitutes. Another category of spiritual wives and husbands is the company of spiritual prostitutes. These spiritual prostitutes do not limit themselves to one victim. They attack as many people as possible. The more people they attack, the more havoc they cause. Wandering spirits. Some wicked spirit husbands and wives are mandated to wander from one victim to another. Such spirits can operate in many continents. They multiply the demonic bondage from nation to nation. Spiritual twins. These wicked spirit husbands and wives operate like physical twins. They carry out their activities with their evil twin brother or sister. Wicked and violent spirit. This category of spirit is violent when they sexually abuse their victims. I have come across victims who wake up with excruciating pain in their reproductive organs immediately they are roused from a sex dream. Some ladles have gone through traumatic experiences just because some spirit husbands have violently abused them sexually. Such ladies feel the pain in real life. Some men have come to me to narrate how they woke up in the morning with violent pains in their private parts. Masquerade or camouflage spirit. This category of spirit often takes up the appearance of someone who their victims.
Hello again and welcome to the Master's Voice. I'm Celestial and you are welcome to this channel. To old and new subscribers,